of friends. They were all Democrats. Every single Epstein's friends were all Democrats. That's what President Donald Trump said, and he's not far off. He's right. You're going to find very, 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 very few Republicans who were buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein before he was dead. You're going to find even fewer that were buddy-buddy with him after he died. What's up? This is Marquez Saves the Republic. I'm so excited that you're here. What a great day we're going to have so far. So far, already I'm having a great day. I hope you're having a great day too. But man, this is gonna be really stellar. This is gonna be a great time, and I'm excited for all of us because today is Epstein Day. Today's the day that the Epstein files will be released. Today's the day that the Epstein files are gonna come out, and the entire world is gonna get to see well, I mean, it's not the day they're gonna come out, but they're gonna vote. Right. I guess one step at a time. The first thing that happens is Congress is going to get together for the first time in like forever, and they're going to vote. And they're going to vote on whether or not to release these files in their entirety. And when they do, it'll be like a 30-day. There'll be like a 30-day process or something. You know, I think that's gonna happen. The DOJ is gonna have to go through and vet all of them and make sure that they're all copacetic and yada 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 and that kind of thing. At the moment, President Donald Trump is awaiting that vote. It's gonna happen sometime this afternoon, but he is live right now in the Oval Office with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Prince Simsalabim. I'm not really sure. Let's take a listen real quick.
The Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax, and ABC's your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump, and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible, and you're not credible as a reporter. So I've answered your question. You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time. That creep, the fund guy, was with him all the time. What's his name?
Reid Hoffman.
Reid Hoffman. I don't know Reid Hoffman, but I know he spends a lot of money on the radical left. Reid Hoffman, in my opinion, should be under investigation. He's a sleazebag. And those are the people, but they don't get any press, they don't get any news, and you're not after the radical left because you're a radical left network. But I think the way you ask a question with the anger and the meanness is terrible. You got to go back and learn how to be a reporter. No more questions from you. Who else has a question?
Oh, we popped in right at the right time, didn't we? That was like the best time. That was the best time to pop in live. Was when he's admonishing an ABC reporter. I kind of want to go back and hear the question. Let's go back and see if we can hear the question.
Badly.
Let's see if we can go back and hear the question.
No, it's not the question that I mind.
Here it is.
Stupid extent. He's a fool. He's a stupid man. But we have some very good people.
Yes, sir. You'll be sitting down with them in the near future, and
we have some surprising names, and we have some standard names.
Let's see, maybe I went back too far.
These guys were friends of his.
Here it is.
Here
we go. Here it is.
There's 1 week for Congress to release the Epstein files. Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter.
Okay, there we go. I was worth going back. I'm telling you. But that's where Donald Trump is right now. He's in the Oval Office with the Crown Prince.
It all starts here. This office.
The Saudi Crown Prince, and we're going to get back to more of that here in just a minute. We do have some clips that I want to share. But look, it is Epstein Day, and that is the big news of the day. It's the day that we're going to hopefully see some kind of action by the House of Representatives on the Epstein files. There's going to be a vote. Now, the thing that we're going to watch for is who's voting which way. We know there's a bunch of Republicans who are going to be voting to release the files. We know their names are Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Trader Greene if you've adopted the new Then there's also Nancy Mace, and there's Lauren Boebert. There's all the people that put their names on the discharge petition and refuse to release them. And they're voting this. We know which way they're voting, but I'm curious to see how the Democrats vote, because there's a lot of Democrats who have been very quiet about the Epstein files, namely Nancy Pelosi. She hasn't said a word. A couple of others who, the older ones, the ones that have been there for a while, Maxine Waters hasn't said a word. James Clyburn hasn't said a word. Now, do I think that Maxine Waters and James Clyburn were on Epstein's jet and on his island? God, I hope not, because that's a disgusting thing to think about. Nothing worse than right after lunch to think about James Clyburn and a bunch of teenage girls on Jeffrey Epstein's island, or Maxine Waters and Ghislaine Maxwell rubbing each other's feet or whatever I don't want to. That's just, I'm sorry if you just ate. That's going to come back and haunt you. But here's Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, and here he is talking about how the Democrats have had the Epstein files in their position for a very long time. They didn't do anything about it, and maybe the reason is because, you know the reason. But here he is anyway.
The truth is, the biggest proponents of this discharge petition were never actually interested in transparency or ensuring justice or protecting victims of this unspeakable tragedy, the Epstein evils. And how do we know that? Because the Democrats had every one of the Epstein files in their possession for the 4 long years of the Biden administration. The Biden Department of Justice had the files the entire time. And not a single one of the people who are so loud and animated right now, they never said anything about it for all those 4 years. None of them held press conferences. None of them demanded the release of the documents. And under Biden's DOJ, when they prosecuted just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, not a single one of these Democrats or any of the proponents of the discharge ever made any noise about that at all. But the truth is... Yeah,
and so that's basically what we were talking about exactly there. There's no noise from the Democrats. There's nothing at all. Joe Biden had these documents. He probably rolled through them, and he was probably like, whoa, man, we can't let anybody see these things. These things are going to be horrible. Why? Well, because Jeffrey Epstein hung out with Democrats. There's nothing that links There's nothing that links Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. There's nothing that links, name another Republican. I mean, a good one, not a bad one. There's nothing that links J.D. Vance to Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, J.D. Vance was like in high school when Jeffrey Epstein was doing all this stuff. There's nothing at all that links Marco Rubio or any of these other people to Jeffrey Epstein. It's all Democrats. And in fact, that's what President Donald Trump said yesterday in the Oval Office. He wanted to make sure everybody knew, who is it that's friends with Jeffrey Epstein? Who is it that loves Jeffrey Epstein? They all love him.
Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman, you look at Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others, they're all Democrats. All I want for people to recognize a great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower, on energy, on ending 8 wars, and another one coming pretty soon, I believe. We've done a great job, and I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. So I'm all for it. We've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. Unfortunately, like with the Kennedy situation, with the Martin Luther King situation, not to put Jeffrey Epstein in the same category, but no matter what we give, it's never enough. With Kennedy, we gave everything and it wasn't enough. With Martin Luther King, we gave everything and it's never enough. We've already given, I believe the number is 50,000 pages, 50,000 pages. And it's just a Russia hoax as it pertains to the Republicans. Now, I believe that some of the people that we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. But they were with him all the time. I wasn't at all. And we'll see what happens. What I just don't want Epstein to do is detract from the great success of the Republican Party.
Yeah, and that's something that he, again, that's another talking point. We've done so many great things. We've done so many amazing things. We're going to continue to do great things. We're going to continue to do amazing things. And we don't want this Epstein stuff We don't want it to detract from all of this other, all of this other amazing accomplishments that we're going to be riding into the midterms next year. That's exactly what Donald Trump is saying. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. And that's exactly what the Republicans need to be aware of. That the longer this Epstein mess goes on, the more and more the Democrats can talk about it, and the less we get to talk about the good stuff that's happening in the world. By the way, a lot of people are wondering about Donald Trump's voice. And, I thought first of all, I just thought the guy's exhausted because he works all the time. I mean, that happens, right? When you work constantly, when you're constantly moving, when you're going, you lose your voice. You start to get hoarse, you get tired, you need some rest. It's like one of your body's way of saying, hey, slow down. But with President Donald Trump, what happened was he was yelling and screaming at people who were stupid, which is those are his words, not mine. He literally said, these people were stupid and I yelled at them. And he yelled at them so loud and so long that his voice got hoarse.
Your voice sounds a little rough. Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something having to do with trade in a country, and I straightened it out. But I blew my stack at these people.
I blew my stack at these people. Now, no word on who these people are. These people. I mean, if it's trade, it could have been Scott Bessent. It could have been Jameson Greer. It could have been Marco Rubio. I doubt it was any of them. But, if you're going to yell, if Donald Trump is going to yell at somebody, he's not going to go past a certain tier. Oh, pardon me while I close up my email so we don't have to listen to those. He's not going to go past a particular tier. Like Donald Trump is he'll yell, for example, at Marco Rubio. He'll yell at Scott Bessent. He'll yell at any cabinet member. And he may even yell at some sub-cabinet member positions or some administration officials. Maybe, maybe Kevin Hassett. I'm not really sure who it was. And we don't really know. But we just know that he yelled really loudly and really long because he lost his voice. And he went totally hoarse, which is I'm glad it wasn't me. I'm glad it wasn't me at all. Anyway, that vote is expected for later this afternoon. We're not really sure when. You know how what happens is if they schedule a vote for Congress, it takes so long. Voting is the longest, most it's such a knockdown, drag out thing in Congress. You have to if you're in Congress and there's a vote, like literally. They could say, hey, we're voting. And an hour later, you could meander your way down to the halls of Congress, get on the floor and cast your ballot. That's how long this thing takes. But anyway, like I said, we'll be tracking it and we'll try to bring you the information as soon as it comes available. In the meantime, U.S. military jets fly over the White House to welcome the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. I love when the jets fly. It's like a movie, right? It's like you're watching Top Gun. Yeah. And this is Donald Trump's new thing. He did it with Putin in Alaska. He made sure that the jets flew over Putin's head. He's doing it with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Also, there's word that he's going to be selling jets to Saudi Arabia, which a lot of people are not happy about. And maybe that's it. Maybe they're like test driving them. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's like, look, we're going to sell you some jets. So we're going to fly them over your head so you can see what they look like. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look up quick. Those are your jets. They look pretty good, don't they? But anyway, there's, here's another view. Here's another view of it. Yeah. Looking pretty good. And it's really, it's got to be, here's the thing about Washington, D.C., which you probably know, or you may not know, and I lived there for a long time, and Washington, D.C. is a no-fly zone. You can't fly a jet over the White House. You can't fly a plane over the White House. It's a no-fly zone. It's not allowed. And so President Donald Trump, usually when you're downtown D.C., it's very quiet. Now, the flip side is when you hear a plane in Washington, D.C. fly overhead, you immediately... Like everybody knows if there's a plane for whatever reason flying over Washington, D.C., it gets everybody's attention and everybody stops in their tracks and freaks out because it never happens, right? So obviously you're thinking, oh my God, this stuff's going down. And that is one of the, that is one of the things about living in the District of Columbia. One of the other things about living in the District of Columbia is, however, that it's very, it's not very quiet, but it's quieter than most places. Mar-a-Lago, by the way, which is weird. Mar-a-Lago is the exact opposite. Mar-a-Lago is right in the flight path of, I think, the West Palm Beach Airport. And if you're outside at Mar-a-Lago by the pool, there's planes flying all over. It's crazy. I don't know if they are anymore since President Donald Trump is the president. But before then, last time I was at Mar-a-Lago, I just remember I was like, God, there's so many planes flying over this joint. And I think that's because, I don't know, maybe that's why he got it so cheap. Here's President Donald Trump with the Saudi Crown Prince, and he's showing off the newly installed Walk of Fame, the Presidential Walk of Fame. And it looks like they're at Jefferson. It looks like they're at Jefferson in this video, and I imagine they walk all the way down to the auto pen, which I have to imagine if you're the Saudi, I mean, imagine this, you're the Saudi Crown Prince and you're at the White House and there's images of every single leader, every single president in the history of the United States of America. And then all of a sudden there's an auto pen. What do you think? What do you think his thoughts are? Like, this robotic contraption is did your president? It was very, I don't know. That's not a direct quote, but that's basically what's going on now. President Donald Trump sat down with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, which again, this is a point of contention for a lot of people because President Donald Trump is shaking hands and breaking bread, and they're all, buddy, like he used to be with Elon Musk. And one of the things that people are upset about is, of course, because Saudi Arabia, for a long time and probably still today, has sponsored terrorists. The World Trade Center bombings, the 9/11 bombing suspects, they were from Saudi Arabia. Something that they still have not admitted or apologized for, and a lot of people are very upset about that. And it's basically just what it is it's basically just Donald Trump getting a lot of flack for trying to extend an olive branch and create a relationship with somebody whose country in the past has, not been as democratic as maybe we would have liked. There is, of course, a substantial investment coming into the United States, as there typically is. Whenever somebody comes to visit the White House, they come with money. Like that's how you get in the door. That's what I'm learning. If you want access to the president, if you want access to the United States of America, it's all about the money. That's a song, right? It's all about the money. Yeah, I think that's right.
Mr. President, today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the $600 billion will be $1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that, and
I like that very much.
He's like, you're telling me the $600 billion is actually going to be $1 trillion, and the Crown Prince is like, sure, yeah, why not? Sure, why not? Let's do it. Let's make it $1 trillion. I mean, we have so much oil that we actually, and that's the thing too, they have so much oil there that they actually drill. They're one of those countries that understands the value of their natural resources, unlike us. We understand the value of our natural resources, but we have, because of Gavin Newsom and smelt-loving environmentalists and PETA and other ridiculous people, we have put all that aside. We have adjusted our output of fossil fuels in order to ensure that weird species of wildlife don't have their habitat interfered with. And as a result, the Saudi Crown Prince has $1 trillion to invest in the United States of America, and we don't. We don't. But President Donald Trump, like I said, he's there, he's sitting there, and he's talking. Here we go. Here's the fake. Is this the clip we just played? They just posted, I think, the clip of ABC News, the reporter. Let me play it again because it was just so tasty the first time.
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been, no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion. That I can tell you right now.
That is the question that led to President Donald Trump talking about what a horrible person she is and how ABC is awful. But then, of course, the big news was the Abraham Accords, because there are now 5 countries who have signed on to the Abraham Accords. And Donald Trump is always looking to expand that, because that's going to bring peace to the Middle East. It's going to bring peace to Israel and Gaza. And it's going to make sure that as Donald Trump's term continues, and whoever comes after President Donald Trump, it's going to make sure that they too will be able to sustain peace in the region. Saudi Arabia, being a member of the Abraham Accords, is a big part of that. And of course, that's something they discussed as well.
I don't want to use the word commitment, but we've had a very good talk on the Abraham Accords. We talked about one state, two state. We talked about a lot of things in a short period of time. We'll be discussing it further too. But I think you have a very good feeling toward the Abraham Accords.
Yes, definitely, Mr. President. We want peace for the Israelis. We want peace for the Palestinians. We want them to coexist peacefully in the region. And we will do our best to reach that day.
I don't want to use the word.
By the way, whenever Donald Trump says one state, two state, does anyone else think red state, blue state? Because that's always, if you have kids, or I guess if you ever were a kid yourself, if you ever were a child, or if you have children or grandchildren, one state, two state, red state, blue state. That's all I think of. One state, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. It's the first thing that pops into my head, and it makes me smile. It makes me smile every time I hear it. But that's exactly what's going on. President Donald Trump is, again, working with the Saudi Arabians. He's working to build coalitions and build bridges and build investment into the United States of America. And the Democrats can't stand it. They hate it. The Democrats will always hate President Donald Trump doing something that is good for the United States. They will always hate President Donald Trump doing something that goes against everything that they've ever tried. Joe Biden wanted to destroy the United States of America. Joe Biden used his office to promote his own family business, to make sure that he padded his pockets and filled his coffers. And at the same time, he protected those people around him who were doing the same thing. Joe Biden's entire 4 years in office was orchestrated by Barack Obama and the Clintons, because they needed somebody to keep their finger in the dike so that the dam wouldn't burst and they wouldn't all drown from their own debauchery. That's exactly what it was. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and the Pelosi's and everybody else, for years, they ran roughshod around Washington, D.C. They took advantage of the system. They took advantage of the government. They took advantage of the interns. And then when President Donald Trump came back into office, they were all scared poopless that he was going to blow the lid off of everything. They all thought they were going to go to jail the first time. So as soon as the Congress changed hands and Nancy Pelosi became the Speaker of the House, the first thing that they did was they impeached President Donald Trump so that he would be embroiled in the impeachment scandal. He would be bottled up and he wouldn't be able to do what he needed to do, what he wanted to do. He wouldn't be able to make America great again. And at the same time, he wouldn't be able to go after and attack those people who attacked him. He wouldn't be able to go in and investigate. His lawyers were busy, man. They were busy trying to keep him from getting impeached on bogus Russia collusion hoaxes. That's what the DOJ, that's why impeachment was so big. It was because the DOJ had no time to indict the Clintons, the Obamas, and the Pelosi's. And the whole time he was president, the whole time that was going on in the background, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and everyone else, they were all still trying to decide, who can we put in the Oval Office? Who can we put in power? Who can beat President Donald Trump and keep him from blowing the lid off of all of us, putting us all in jail? The crimes, there's so many of them. And if Donald Trump had that second term, I really feel like that probably would have been Donald Trump's mojo. First 4 years, do everything that was promised, do build the wall, get immigration under control, fix the economy, make America great again, all that stuff. That would have been number one, right? First and foremost. And then the second part, I feel, right after that, would have been, let's go after all of these people who were horrible. Let's go after all of these people who did terrible things. Let's go after all of these people and put them in jail so that nobody tries to do it ever again. That, I think, probably would have been what Donald Trump had been going for had he not been impeached. But again, there's no real way of knowing that. There's no way of telling because that didn't happen that way. Now he's got to, and again, Joe Biden came in as a figurehead, as somebody just to stay the course. And that's when, of course, they ramped up all the investigations into President Donald Trump. That's when they said, hey, you know what we're going to do? Not only are we going to now keep all of our crimes under wraps, but we're also going to try to pin crimes on President Donald Trump that he never committed and that actually may have never even existed. But we don't care because we got to keep him out of the White House to keep ourselves out of prison. Now, though, Donald Trump has to undo all the bad stuff that Joe Biden did. And so I think that's why he hasn't gotten into the indictments as much as people would like. Speaking of which, Pam Bondi got totally roasted on her birthday yesterday. It was Pam Bondi. First of all, Pam Bondi is 60. Does that baffle anybody else? Does anyone else look at Pam Bondi and go, wait a minute, you're 60? But yeah, Pam Bondi supposedly is 60 years old. Let's see. Where's the birthday post for Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi turned 60 yesterday, and they posted something on the Department of Justice website, and people started to rip into her. A lot of people honored her, and a lot of people were talking about how great she was and that kind of thing. Kayleigh McEnany was talking about, oh, you're amazing. We wish you the best, yada, yada, yada. But a lot of other people were like, why aren't you doing anything? A lot of other people were like, hey, maybe this is the year that you'll actually throw some people in jail. I'm looking for it. I see a bunch. It's very, you know what? We'll find it. But the fact of the matter is, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know she was 60. That was a little shocking. That was a little shocking and surprising to me. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. She looks good for 60. I imagine she's got a lot of, she's from Florida. So I imagine Botox parties are a regular event with her. I just know a lot of women in Florida, and they do, that's like a regular event for those kinds of people. But the other thing that's happening is Donald Trump, undoing everything that Biden's doing. It leads the Democrats to try to find new and exciting ways to try to stop him. And one of those is these Epstein files. Chuck Schumer, who's on his way out, not just professionally, but probably mentally. Chuck Schumer accidentally implicated Joe Biden in the Epstein scandal yesterday.
Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there. Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Or not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released?
So the question was, hey, why didn't Joe Biden release all of these Epstein files when he was president? And Chuck Schumer, I guess not realizing what the question was or not realizing they'd moved on to a different president, goes, that's the question, isn't it? What is he hiding? And if let's listen to it again because it's so good.
Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there. Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Or not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering the same thing. Every American should be asking the question, what the hell is Joe Biden hiding? Why doesn't Joe Biden want them released? What is Joe Biden doing? Why doesn't Joe Biden release the files? It was 4 years. Every American should be asking that question. I'm sure somebody pulled him aside after that and said, oh, wait a minute. I said, what? What did I do? Oh, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that at all. The House is debating right now. There's debate going on right now in the House. Everybody's getting up and they're stating their piece, and we'll see what happens. Now, keep in mind, there was a unanimous consent. You may remember there was a unanimous consent order that was denied by the Democrats. And what the Democrats did was they were given the opportunity to vote up or down, yes or no, and say, hey, yes, we would like these Epstein files released. It was by Tim Burchett. And what happened was Tim Burchett, he had that up and down vote, and everybody on the Democrat Party had it thrown out, which again leads me to believe that there is more in there that harms the Democrats than harms the Republicans. And that's why it's very interesting how this vote is going to turn out. I still am not sure this thing's going to pass. The Republicans need to vote yes on this because one of the big issues of the election was the Epstein files. Charlie Kirk talked about it. Megyn Kelly talked about it. Everybody talked about it. The Epstein files, that was one of the big things that we needed to have done. That was one of the big things that needed to be shared. The Epstein files was a big sticking point. Donald Trump mentioned it in his campaign. People asked him about it. He said, yeah, I'll release JFK. I'll declassify Martin Luther King, Epstein files, whatever you guys want. It's all, you'll have carte blanche and you'll be able to see everything. And then it became this big thing. They did a whole thing with fake binders where they brought all those influencers, Jack Posobiec and everybody else came to the White House and they got binders, not fake binders, but binders with information that had already been released, nothing new. They made a big show of it. Then there was some other back and forth. Pam Bondi kept saying they were on her desk and they were going to be released and then they weren't released. And then over TPUSA, there was the whole debacle where Dan Bongino was supposedly walking out. He was done. That never actually amounted to anything. He's still there as far as I know. And so now we are where we are, which is these Epstein files are probably going to get voted on. I would imagine every Republican, to make sure that they are secure in the midterm elections, is going to vote to release them, especially since President Donald Trump gave his say so. Donald Trump said, go ahead. Vote to release them. I believe every Republican should release them. Let's move on to something else. And that was the okay. That was the A-OK that Donald Trump was giving to all of the Republicans to say, yes, it's fine. Let the Epstein files fly because we need to move on to bigger and better things. And so it should be all Republicans that are voting for it. Now, there may be one or two holdouts. There may be one or two that don't. I don't know what Rand Paul is going to do. Or I'm sorry. I know that Thomas Massie is going to vote to release him because, well, it's his bill. But it's interesting to see if the Democrats all vote to release the files. And if they don't, we definitely need to keep in mind which ones don't. And they should be the first ones that are investigated, or their allies should be the first ones that are investigated, or their donors are the first ones that should be investigated. Because keep in mind, Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire financier. He got a lot of money from a lot of people, and it's not just politicians, it's just rich folk. Reid Hoffman, that's one of the co-founders of LinkedIn. He's Silicon Valley rich. That's how he had so much money. He gave a lot of it to Jeffrey Epstein, and that's one of the reasons why Jeffrey Epstein was able to buy an island. Same with all the others. So it'll be really interesting to see what the Democrats do or don't do in this Jeffrey Epstein mess. I found, by the way, the Pam Bondi tweet. And again, Pam Bondi, I have nothing. I mean, could she move a little faster? Sure. Is she working on her own? Probably not. We'll see what happens. But here's the tweet. Happy birthday to our 87th U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Now, keep in mind, 87 U.S. Attorney Generals. There's a lot of turnover in the year. We're only on the 47th president. There's been 40 more attorneys general than president. So anyway, that's the tweet. And then look, here's some of the responses. I totally read this wrong. I thought you said it's her 87th birthday. I was like, damn, she looks good for being 87. Amity wrote, she needs to resign. Nick, she's literally been worthless so far. And by the way, a lot of these are Republicans. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Russian collusion hoax, 0 arrests. January 6th, 0 arrests. Mar-a-Lago raid, 0 arrests. Biden auto pen, 0 arrests. Over and over and over and over again. Boss Lady 24/7. Let's fire her as a birthday present. She has proven to be totally useless with holding any Democrat accountable. Remember, these are mostly Republicans who are both wishing her a happy birthday and also praying for her to quit, resign, or get fired. It would be nice if she would celebrate by arresting some people. There's a meme of Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard holding up a sign that says, hey, Pam, we showed you the evidence. Now go arrest somebody. It's a common occurrence. Here's a fun one. U.S. Attorney General, what we wanted. It's a picture of Matt Gaetz. What we got. It's Bill Barr with a wig on, which is kind of It's kind of funny. Anyway, I don't want to harp on it. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what everybody's saying. Now, something I do want to harp on is our fantastic poker tournament, which is coming up. The Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament is coming up on December the 4th. It's a Thursday night, and this is going to be one of the best times you've ever had at a poker tournament. I don't know if you've ever been to a poker tournament, but if you've been to one of our poker tournaments, you know how amazing they are. The Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. First of all, it's all for the kids. What we do is we do this to benefit K's kids. We do it to make sure that our K's kids get a happy Christmas, that they get a fantastic gift. These are kids that are battling debilitating illnesses. These kids are battling life-threatening diseases. They're very brave. They go through a lot. They have to suffer and incur a lot of treatments and a lot of hospital times, and they're away from their families and friends and whatnot. And what happens as a result is that these kids, at Christmas time, we just want to put a smile on their face. And one of the ways we do it is by raising money through this charity poker tournament. It's again, Thursday, December the 4th, 2025 at Best Bet Monument Road in Jacksonville. And there's all different tiers of tickets. There's VIP, there's regular admission. You can get a whole table. We have people that dress up. We have lots of prizes. Food is included in the price. Drinks included in the price. It's really a phenomenal night. We have tons of other prizes, but poker prizes that we give away. And if you're looking for a fun and exciting way to have some holiday cheer, help out a great charity, have lots of fun, win some money, $1,000 cash prize. I mean, it really is our best event of the year. And you can get your ticket at www.kayskids.com. www.kayskids.com. KAYESKAIDS.com. We'll also put a link in the description of the video too, if you'd prefer just to click on the link. All right, so yesterday, President Donald Trump was talking about affordability. And he was talking about affordability at one of his favorite places, McDonald's. Not actually McDonald's, but a big corporate meeting of McDonald's franchisees and owners. It was a place where McDonald's, every organization has their big meeting, and this was the big meeting for McDonald's folks. And being a former employee himself, Donald Trump went there to share some good news about the economy and also to remind everybody that he has a very, very, very special, very special place in the McDonald's history.
I'm thrilled to be here with the men and the women who are really the heart and soul of one of the greatest, most admired, and most successful companies in the history of the world, frankly. The one and only McDonald's. I've gone there a couple of times. And I'm honored to stand before you as the very first former McDonald's fry cook ever to become president of the United States. And I actually was there for about 30 minutes, and that was 30 minutes longer than Kamala was there, right? Despite her job at McDonald's, that didn't work out too well. And the person at McDonald's that informed us off the record that she never worked there, whoever you are, we appreciate that. That was very nice.
Yeah, that was the whistleblower, the Kamala McDonald's whistleblower, somebody who said, psst, I know Kamala's running around saying she worked at McDonald's as a fry cook. She ain't never been in no McDonald's. She ain't never been a fry cook. That is exactly the truth. That's exactly what's been happening. Donald Trump went and worked the drive-thru. He cooked the fries. He met the people. He served Americans. And he did so to prove that that's what real presidents do, and that Kamala Harris was lying about working for McDonald's, lying about having an actual job so that she could benefit some way, shape, or form in the election. It didn't work. It blew right up in her face, and President Donald Trump proudly put on the apron, went to McDonald's, and made history. Broke the internet, as they say. And now he's back to talk to these McDonald's employees about how he was the only one to ever do it. But also, we also know that Donald Trump isn't just an employee. He's a huge customer.
As you may have heard, I'm also one of your all-time most loyal customers. I really am. Well, others, I think that's good. I'm pretty sure that's good. While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route. but we really did. You fed us very well, and I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac. And he told me he loved it.
That was another historic moment. RFK Jr. famously eating McDonald's on Trump Force One. I think you remember it was Donald Trump, Elon. I think it was Don Jr., Bobby Kennedy, and then Mike Johnson had to like hang out. He wasn't at the table. He had to like hang out in the back. But they were flying around during the campaign, and that was one of the big moments was RFK Jr. eating McDonald's and allowing a photo of it to be taken so the entire world could see. Really, really remarkable. And only President Donald Trump could get something like that done. Only President Donald Trump could be behind something like RFK Jr. eating McDonald's. It's really, really an incredible feat when you think about it. And so Donald Trump, I mein, look, not only is there Donald in both the names too, but Donald Trump exclusively ran his campaign on this company. And that's why they love him. That, and he also saved them from some really terrible stuff like, the joint employer rule.
As you know, in my first time, I also stopped a mortal threat to the franchise business model by terminating Obama's infamous joint employer rule. Joint employer. In other words, you were screwed. You would have been mortally wounded, perhaps. I said to a couple of the people, what would have happened if that? Sir, please, I'd rather not talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. I ended it. You got lucky on that one, let me tell you, because I said, really, I asked one of my guys, because when I was coming over, I saw that in the speech. I said, what does that mean? He said, that would have been death to businesses like yours and others. It was just, these people don't care. They didn't care. But I ended it, and I think that's one of the biggest things that you'll ever have done for yourselves. I think that's the biggest thing that can ever be done for you. We mentioned all these different items, but that's the biggest by far for you.
And I mean,
as long as I'm president.
As long as he's president, that's never going to happen. And I don't want to get into too long-winded a detail because unless you own a franchise, it's very difficult to explain why you should care about it. But basically, it allowed multiple employers to be held liable or responsible for anything that had happened with an employee, whether it was a lawsuit or whether it was a discrimination suit or whether it was a complaint. And it made it very difficult for companies to hire because you would have multiple different levels of hiring at these low wage jobs just because they were trying to CYA. It was regulation, government regulation at its worst. And you could hear the applause when Donald Trump said, hey, I got rid of the joint employer rule. Everyone there was thrilled. And it wasn't just that. There were trillions of dollars worth of regulations that were choking multiple industries that Donald Trump slashed.
In terms of slashing, we slashed more than $1 trillion worth of regulations, burdens on the U.S. economy, in particular on businesses and people that employ people. Combining our regulatory and tax cuts, we've reduced the effective burden on franchisees by more than 37%.
And that is something that is huge. Regulations are crushing. A lot of people think that, it's just taxes. And for a lot of companies and a lot of individuals, yes, taxes are bad. Taxes are not good. Nobody likes taxes. We don't want to pay tax. We want to pay less in taxes. But what really, really cripples people and what really, really cripples industry is regulation and having to abide by all these rules and abide by all these laws and having to fit a round peg into a square hole or a square peg into a round hole or whatever that saying is, because the government deemed that it was, I guess you would say, unfair to one group of people. And so they would regulate this, that, or the other. The movie industry is still suffering from this. If you want to get, an Academy Award, and this isn't a government program, but it's just a stupid woke program. If you want to get an Academy Award now, you have to have a certain percentage of minority folk working on your film. So if you had a great film that was all produced by white people, you wouldn't win, you wouldn't be even nominated because of the DEI practices. And a lot of that regulation occurred in business too, under Joe Biden, under Barack Obama, under the Democrats, because they were trying to regulate fairness. And regulating fairness is about the most unfair thing you can do, ironically. But they're Democrats. They don't get it. They don't have common sense. And they just, as he pointed out, they don't care about the American people. Now, like I said, they are currently debating on the House floor what's going on with the Epstein files, and it looks like Jim Jordan Jim Jordan was apparently, let's see, Jim Jordan went full nuke on the House floor, says Gunther Eagleman. We're all voting yes. Oh, let's take a listen to this real quick. Here we go.
I give myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
We all support holding bad guys accountable, and we're all going to vote for this resolution. But I think a little perspective is important. Democrats have spent 6 months talking about Epstein, even though they had 4 years to do something about it. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Maybe it's to go after President Trump. Never forget, they shut down the government for 43 days. They said, don't worry about our military, don't worry about air traffic controllers, don't worry about our economy, don't worry about American families. No, no, no. Close the government for a month and a half because it might hurt the president. For the past decade, there's been one constant for Democrats. One constant. Go after Trump. They spied on his campaign. Then it was Mueller. Then it was impeachment 1. Then it was impeachment 2. Then it was all the lawfare. Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis, Letitia James. Then it was Arctic Frost investigation at the Justice Department, surveilling United States senators and congressmen, and a whole host of other Americans. Then it was Jack Smith and his gag orders and his raiding President Trump's home. Then it was a 43-day shutdown, and now it's Epstein. And by the way, the same party that did all that, they were also the ones who were texting with Mr. Epstein during a hearing where Michael Cohen was their witness in another effort to go after the president. Americans see through it all, and frankly, it's actually kind of sad. This obsession, this syndrome, this mindset that says we got to go after President Trump no matter what that they have. And when I think about it, I think it's because President Trump and Republicans have accomplished so much that they told the voters they were going to accomplish in the 2024 election. We're actually doing what we said we were going to do. President Trump said he was going to cut taxes, and he did. President Trump said he would secure the border, and he did. President Trump said he'd get men out of women's sports, and he did. President Trump said he would make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear capability, and he did. And he said he would get the hostages out of Gaza back into Israel, and he did. All in 9 months. So I don't know what causes this mindset, this syndrome that the left has, but I know one thing. It is real. Which brings me to last week. Think about what the Democrats did last week. The Democrats released an email that the Oversight Committee had obtained from the estate. An email from Mr. Epstein to Ms. Maxwell. When the Democrats released it, they redacted the victim's name. Something we all support. Something everyone supports. Except in this case, no court had ordered that name redacted, no agency had redacted it, and the estate didn't redact it. And the victim had already went public. So why black out her name? Why black out her name? Because she had said in her book and had testified under oath that she never saw any wrongdoing by President Trump. So think about what they did. In an email between two criminals, Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, in an email between two criminals, they hide the name of an individual who had went public and exonerated the president, and we know why. To distort and twist the message because they thought it might harm the president. Their position, cover up the names of people who are already public, but don't worry about other innocent people who the court said should remain private. Again, I think the American people see through it. They see through what the Democrats are doing. The American people know what this is. They know Democrats have nothing else to run on because of the success of this administration. So I say let's vote yes on this resolution, and then let's get focused on making sure we're doing what the American families elected us to do. With that, I reserve.
Wow, look at that. That was pretty good. That was Jim Jordan taking all the time he wanted to. I'm going to grant as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, I'm going to grant myself as much time as I want to talk. And he did. And he pointed out, he goes, look, we're all going to vote yes on this. So his ideal or his idea going into this is that everybody's going to vote to release these things. I assume he means Republicans and Democrats. He said, look, we're going to all vote to release this. Everybody wants to see it, but we should put it into perspective. We should put it into perspective, and we should realize that the Democrats could have done this on their own. They could have done this anytime. They didn't. They harbored this and they held it and they used it as a tool to try to embarrass President Donald Trump. They harbored it and they harnessed it as a tool, as a weapon to try to hurt the Republicans. And when that blew up in their face, when it failed miserably, they now are forced to vote on this. And by bringing it out to the open, they will be disarming themselves and potentially even attacking themselves. They will be disarming themselves and potentially bringing more harm to their party. And that is something that is, only the Democrats could accomplish that. Only the Democrats could accomplish something like trying to go after President Donald Trump, missing the target completely, and blowing everything up in their own faces. It's this continued lose that the Democrat Party continues to do over and over and over again. Anything they do, anything they touch, just turns to crap, doesn't it? It's really kind of fun. And I for one am all for it. And I think that it'll be interesting again to see this vote. Now the vote, it looks like they're going to be wrapping up. Look, these things happen. These things go for a long time. Everybody wants to get on the record. Everybody wants to have their say. Everybody wants to say, look, I did this. I was on the record saying this, that, or the other. So as soon as all the speeches are done, as soon as all the grandstanding is done, then what we're going to do is we're going to have the vote and we'll see exactly what comes of it. But I imagine, according to what Jim Jordan just said, everybody's going to vote. Could it be a unanimous vote? And if it is a unanimous vote, then we'll see what happens. Then the whole thing was basically just a Democrat show, and the Democrats were doing it to hurt Donald Trump, because they'll do pretty much anything to hurt Donald Trump. You know what else they'll do? They'll encourage the military to commit treason. They'll encourage the military to commit treason. Libs of TikTok on X, they released a video, or they shared a video, breaking elected Democrats just released a video encouraging members of the military to commit treason and defy orders from Trump and Hegseth. Alyssa Slotkin is in it, Chris D'Aluzzo, Maggie Goodlander. I think I saw, wait a minute, did I see Mark Kelly in there? Which is weird because he's former military. Yeah, Mark Kelly's in there. Listen to this. This is ridiculous.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris D'Aluzzo.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
Okay, so what all these people are doing is, first of all, they're elected officials. They're former military. And they are urging members of the current military to defy orders if they believe they're illegal, or to defy orders that they don't agree with, that they believe are. They didn't say, hey, consult a lawyer. They just said defy illegal orders. Well, how are you supposed to know? It's really, really troubling that this is what the Democrat Party has come to. They hate President Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and the American military so much. They hate that President Donald Trump is doing whatever he needs to do to make America safe again, to make these cities safe again. They hate that so much that they are openly urging members of the military to defy orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
I mean, this to me, I'll be honest with you, again, I don't know what the laws are, but this to me seems like it should be illegal, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like elected members of Congress who took an oath, swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and protect it from all enemies, foreign and domestic, doesn't it seem like they shouldn't be urging members of the current military to defy orders from the commander-in-chief or the Joint Chiefs of Staff or whoever their commanding officer may be? I mean, you want to talk about treason. You want to talk about inspiring the military to defy orders and take matters into their own hands, which is a direct violation of what? The Uniform Code of Conduct? I mean, this is wild to me. These people, they swore an oath when they joined the military. Then they swore an oath when they became congresspeople and senators. And now they're openly telling everyone else, those oaths don't matter. Who does that? What kind of a party? How low do you have to be to get to a point where you do that? It's just, I mean, I would say it's unbelievable, but it's the Democrat Party. It's totally not unbelievable at all. They are willing to do anything and everything they can to hurt President Donald Trump, to hurt Americans, to take away his power, which he was given constitutionally by the Electoral College. And I'd like to point out a majority of Americans who voted for him because he won the popular vote over Kamala Harris. And now their release, it's really, this is one of the most disturbing things that I've ever seen. I'm actually going to keep that. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket, and we're going to bring that back up when we need to. And then one last thing, man. This show, by the way, almost didn't happen today because of this massive outage. I don't know. I woke up early. Like, I get up early. I get up early all the time. And I was on Newsmax, and I know you guys like to hear me on Newsmax. I forgot to pull the clip because, well, the internet, erupted. But when we do our Newsmax hits, because I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida, and because they're in the New York City studio offices, I have to Zoom. We do it via Zoom. They call me on Zoom. I answer. We set up their connection, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm on television. And that Zoom call, of course, happens. In fact, I think I'm going to be on tomorrow morning as well. But Zoom is a necessary tool in this day and age, not just for the broadcast media, but pretty much for everyone. X is where I get a lot of my information. In fact, X is, I think, the number one news source in the world. I'd have to check on that. But ever since Elon Musk took over, X became the number one news source for a lot of people, this guy included. And Newsmax will typically send me a list of stories, many of which are links on X or videos someone posted on X to comment about. They'll say, hey, did you see what Harry Sisson posted on X? Click on this. We're going to talk about it. And so I wake up this morning and I try to fire up Zoom, and then I go to X and I try to click on these links and nothing. The links aren't opening. Zoom's not connecting. I'm like, what is happening? I go to ChatGPT to try to figure out what the stories are, because if you go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you show me this? And ChatGPT's down, massive internet outage. It was a massive internet outage. It was apparently some kind of, service attack or service disruption on an Atlanta server for Cloudflare, which is basically designed to keep these kinds of attacks from happening. And when the Cloudflare server got overrun with traffic, X went down, ChatGPT went down, a bunch of other AI mechanisms went down. Spotify, which is where my 47 Daily podcast lives. If you didn't get a chance, by the way, if you couldn't get on Spotify today, the podcast is up. You just maybe weren't allowed to hear it or weren't able to access it, but the podcast is up. The 47daily.com is up and ready for you to listen to. So you can go check that out for sure at the47daily.com. But this was wild. And I know a lot of other people say, well, this could have been somebody in their basement. This could have been a hacker. I don't know. This seems to me like, think about cloud. Think about what was targeted. Okay. Because this was an attack on a server, not a Facebook server or a YouTube server or anything like that. It was an attack on a server that housed X, or that worked with X, owned by Elon Musk, a known conservative, a known capitalist, and a longtime Trump ally. It attacked AI, which we all know Donald Trump is a huge fan of. He's gotten trillions of dollars of investment in, and is something that he has touted as the future of the United States of America. And he's taken AI factories, and he's taking a lot of AI, individuals and coders out of these other countries. And they're coming to the United States of America. And there's a lot of monetary involvement and movement here to the United States of America. It seems to me like, because of the actual targets that were attacked, X, AI, couple of other things, it seems like it may have been actually a targeted cyber attack specifically on some things that are popular to the conservative movement. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm sure we'll get more. But it's also very disturbing about how disruptive these things can be. When you have an attack that is so disruptive, When your X goes down and your Zoom goes down and your ChatGPT goes down and you're in the news business, man, it was a morning. I'll just put it that way. I'm glad we finally got the show up. And like I said, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, and this one will be momentarily as well if you want. You're probably listening to it right now, a lot of you. If you are subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this network. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, make sure you hit the subscribe button there. And make sure you keep coming back every single day, because every single day we are going to have new information about who's coming at you. We're going to have new information about who's trying to attack you. We're going to have new information about cyber threats and Democrat promises and how Congress is acting up and where we need to make changes and how your life is going to be negatively affected by these people. We're going to do all of that every single day, day in and day out, because working together, we can not only protect ourselves and our family and our American ideals and our Constitution, but we can protect our livelihoods and we can protect our futures and our families' futures and our financial futures. And we can protect everything that we love and hold dear. But most importantly, we can fight so that we can protect and save the Republic. Unfortunately, I'm a little behind. I have to cancel the after party that we were going to have scheduled for today. There will be no after party today because there's some stuff I have to do now that I wasn't able to do in the morning, but we will get the podcast up ASAP and we will have an after party later this week. Don't forget to get your poker tickets though. Poker tickets available at kayskids.com, www.kayskids.com, www.kayskids.com. Go there now and we'll see you on December 4th.